Welcome to Dance with Disease. My name is Dustin Anderson, also known as the Purple Pirate. In 2016, my index finger started wiggling, which is great if you're training a dog, but I don't have a canine companion. And then the word Parkinson's came into my life. Or as my alter ego would say, Parkinson's. I knew from the beginning that this was not the downward spiral of doom as guaranteed by the brochures, but a kick in the ass to look at my life and change. This podcast is dedicated to sharing my magical journey of healing through trying every alternative therapy imaginable. Thanks for joining me. Let's dance.
Good morning and welcome to Dance with Disease. My name is Dustin and I am grateful that you're listening today. I have been struggling. I've been really noticed that I've been numbing. Numbing has been a part of this journey, this life journey for me because of life circumstances with people that molested me and sexually assaulted me as a kid and as a young person. And the part for me that was difficult is, this is all related to this journey because I'm reading a book called Recovery from Parkinson's by Dr. Janice Walton Wadlock. It's downloadable for those who are dealing with this. It's downloadable from, I think, parkinsonsrecovery.com. Google it. Anyway, so they talk about numbing and how that, in her experience of helping hundreds of people heal from this, there's a common thread of disassociation. And for me, disassociation started when I was a kid and carried all throughout my entire life, where I would disassociate from my surroundings. Well, I started as a kid because I was so frightened of my home life that I would disassociate and find and just not pay attention. And I noticed that my mother does the same thing because her home life was terrible. She never felt loved. So I get it. So now that so my disassociation after, we're doing this show and multiple friends of mine have already said, are you going so deep? Are you sure you should be doing this is your director trained for this? I'm not sure training is as necessary as compassion. Training, many people are trained for things that don't do things effectively, so I'm not as convinced that university education in something makes somebody qualified to, or makes someone effective in said working experience. It's quite often in the blue collar world that university educated people come on site and they'll be the least effective on site because they don't have the experience. Anyway, so we're digging deep, and the thing for me that was the hardest was to realize that I was groomed by my high school drama teacher to be sexually assaulted when I was in my early 20s. And the hardest part for me was that to realize that at that point I was at one of my physical peaks. I was very powerful and externally believed I was self-confident, but in the end I was powerless towards this man who was much physically weaker than I was, and that's hard. That realization has been brutal. So my numbing, some people go to drugs, some people go to theft or sex, or I went to my numbing was to remove blackberry bushes from my neighbor's overgrowth. which was irritating for Farah, my wife, but it was interesting because I just got I took it too far in terms of, because they're blackberry. I did and I didn't. I wasn't doing tasks around the house, but at the same time I was taking care of something that looks, to live near a place, right beside a place that looks like a dump. It's not ideal. So now at least there's land and it removes habitat for rats. Not a big fan of rats. And all that said, some of the symptoms are elevated, but my energy's coming back, and and I have moments of clarity and moments of where the mind fog subsides, and I'm able to be in public. So I'm healing. I was invited to stage manage for a friend of mine's video shoot on Monday and Tuesday of last week, and I was nervous that I would just sort of get really fatigued and not be able to do the work, because video shoots are stressful, and his technical requirements were large and untested. He had a bunch of equipment he hadn't worked with before. I was familiar with with much of the stuff I was working with, but there was all these unknowns. And the timelines, we started off late, but I was a rock, and so I'm healing. I'm honestly healing, and that's really great to report. It's just being able to hold on to that all the time when self-doubt and other people's opinions come into play. And yeah, it's interesting. It's a rich life. I am grateful for this journey. I'm grateful that you're listening. I hope this helps you. I hope that you are finding your own richness in your own life and sharing that richness with others.
Thank you for listening to Dance with Disease. For more podcasts, links to books mentioned, or to book the theater production Shaken, Rattled, and Rolling, log on to dancewithdisease.com. My name is Dustin Anderson. Thank you for joining me.